ready? You got me running, you got me running, got me running. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Raise your hands up, raise them out.
All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Friday to all that are catching the call today. And welcome to the members as well of the LCMS Traders Club that are in the room live as well. Hope everyone had a good session last night and that there weren't really many two movements. So hopefully everyone stayed disciplined and didn't force too many trades. Now, guys, it is Friday as well, so that does mean it is CAD and crypto in focus, and it is the 19th already of November 2021. And a quick introduction as well for the new members as well, and also for the viewers that are watching the delayed telecast on YouTube as well. There's a link in the video you'll see for Jindal Tai's website. Make sure you go to that, and you can then get access to the LCMS Traders Club as well. And if it is your first time here, a big welcome too. For the currency call, we analyze the currencies Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. GMT +8. And the currencies we analyze are as follows. Mondays, we do the Aussie and Kiwi. Tuesday, the Euro. Wednesday, we do the pound. Thursday, yen and gold. And then on Friday, we do CAD and crypto, Bitcoin and Ethereum specifically. And the currency call will go through the market economic updates, the key support and resistance levels, and we'll also discuss trade ideas and of course much more. And the currency call will be beneficial to both the long-term investors and also the short-term traders. And here we will go through what could move prices, the possible trade ideas, and we'll highlight the potential targets and risks in regard to the trade structure where the stop losses could go potentially and the take profits too. Also, finally, a disclaimer, any information shared during this session is not intended to be a trade recommendation. It is solely the opinion and views of the speaker. So please remember to do your own analysis prior to entering in any trades. And always feel free to ask questions as well when you are in the call here, and also in the LCMS Traders Club EcoFin side as well. We're all here ready to help with any issues, or even if you've got something that you've seen for a trade idea, we are happy to discuss that as well. But just to get things started, I'll go through the US dollar index as well. And really, it was sort of as we discussed is how it played out as well. So I've got the lines here. I haven't altered them because the pullback was a little bit deeper than I thought it was going to go. We got down to 95.50 flat pretty much, and we didn't see any more downside. We held there on the 4-hour time frame with Sam Trade here, and now we're back into the 95.60s. So the news today is there's some FOMC members speaking, but there's not really a great deal of high impact news at all for the US dollar. And what I did discuss as well yesterday is that we could see, and I might just revise this a little bit, we could see that's quite a move higher. And without a catalyst, honestly, I'm going to be a little more conservative. I think back to the 70s or even, the low 80s on the US dollar is what I'm looking for. And what that means is that there's nothing really significant movement-wise to be seen from the other pairs as well. And we do have a little bit of Canadian news coming out as well, but I'll just quickly review what went on last night in the US session, just on the Forex Trading Asia economic calendar. So we've got Thursday here, very early Thursday morning though. Again, there's been, a few FOMC members speaking, but a lot of that is really just dialogue. There's nothing too significant coming out of that. We did have the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index came in at 39. Now that was quite a bit higher than expected, but really the manufacturing is just playing catch up. So that didn't frankly move things much at all. And we had FOMC member Williams speaking now. and daily as well, very early this morning. So for today, for the US news, it's just building permits, honestly. And Fed Waller is speaking as well as Clarita very early Saturday morning as well. But as you can see, it's more Canadian focused. We've got a bit of pound stuff as well coming out for retail sales. And I posted the pound chart this morning just to sort of set the tone. So there could be something there because the pound actually has been moving, but that's for the pound discussion chat in the LCMS Traders Club as well. And frankly, if I just quickly go back to the DXY now, as you can see, it's just lacking any substance to shoot it back over 96. The thing is, how it's behaved has been a little unplanned. So it's already, burn off a lot of buying energy, it looks like, and then it rejected, which was fair enough. And now we're sort of in a bit of a lull period. So just be a little cautious with how you play things. If you're not used to shorter term stuff, I would say just step back. And Gim talked about the Aussie dollar short, and that's a trade, and it's pretty much at the entry. So that's still a possibility there, guys. And just maybe, step back a little bit and even allocate some funds to Forex Briefcase and let Jin deal with all the waiting around and doing what he loves to do. All right. But that's it from me from the US dollar index, guys. To start now, we've got Jin here as well. And Gimme will also feature just going through the CAD, and then I'll take crypto to finish. So over to you now, Jin and Gimme.
All right. Thanks for that, Scott. So trying to keep it a bit short and sharp today with just the USCAD, what are we looking at? Again, back to Forex Trading Asia with the economic calendar. You can see that today being Friday, we do have CAD retail sales numbers to be released. It's actually quite interesting that on a month-on-month data or basis of the data, previous month was a 2.1%. We're expecting a minus 1.7%. And core retail sales looking to go from a 2.8 to a minus 1%. So if we do see this drop in terms of retail sales number, it's a bit unexpected, or it's a bit surprising to see that drop in retail sales number with the end of the year coming up. Retail sales numbers tend to be a bit better towards the end of the year. If we do see this drop to that minus 1.7 or possibly even a minus 1.8, even if it's 1.6, 1.8 minus, we could see that CAD weaken slightly further based on the current trajectory that it is running upon. But with that retail sales number that also is impacted by the, the CPI numbers that we saw on Wednesday evening from the Canadians. CPI increased from the month on month from a 0.2 to a 0.7%. Core CPI went from a 0.3 to a 0.6, and the year on year just went on a slight uptick from a 3.7 to a 3.8. In this case, what we actually saw was that despite the good news, or relatively good news from the Canadians in terms of the CPI, that uptick, what we usually would have expected to see is a strengthening in the Canadian dollar. But what actually happened was a brief, or rather slight move in terms of a weakening towards the Canadian dollar. I think Kim Hong has a bit of his view to share with regards to why we saw that weakening in terms of the CPI data release. Kim Hong, you want to put in your...
Yep. Sure, of course. Okay, so normally we'll look at the core CPI and the CPI data, right? The headline and the core version of inflation. That's not exactly what the central banks are doing. Okay, so the central bank, some of the central banks, they actually have their own preferred measure of inflation. Okay, so looking at Gene's calendar, we see core CPI and CPI. Do we actually see a common CPI?
No, it's
okay, it's not here.
Yep.
Okay, you may have to filter some of the, do some filtering settings. Yeah, but so, okay, just let me share my screen with you guys. Okay, too many tabs on right now. Okay, so right now, okay, same thing, Forex Trading Asia, all right? We actually see, so you guys probably have to do some filtering over here, like, click on the filter button, and then personally, I prefer to just select Canada, okay? And then, yeah, I'll just apply, or you can even check on the inflation button, okay? That will give you all the, different measures of inflation, okay? So as you can see here, while we have median CPI, we have trim CPI, we have common CPI, and this one over here, the common CPI, is what the Bank of Canada, okay, it's the Bank of Canada's preferred way of measuring CPI. I'm not exactly sure what formula goes behind it, okay, or maybe they do some like trimming of some data from extreme points and things like that. But okay, as you can see, the previous was 1.8%, okay, and at the moment, as of the most recent release, it remains at 1.8%, okay. That probably explains why the Canadian dollar actually weakened across the board, okay, when the supposedly strong CPI and headline CPI and core CPI data was being released, okay, because remember that the Bank of Canada actually has a inflation target as well, okay. They will be targeting, inflation at around 2 to 3%, okay, but 1.8 is falling short by 0.2%, okay. So, this is probably something that not everyone would know, all right, which is why it's very important for you guys to tune into the call, okay, because, for me, I actually look into as many indicators as I can, of course, many of them being redundant, all right, but when it comes to CPI, when it's more, I would say sensitive, okay, because each central bank have their own individual preferred measures, okay? So like, for example, the Federal Reserve, their preferred measure of inflation is the PCE, personal consumption expenses, right? So because of, their preferred measures of inflation, okay, when those data are being released, it's also important to pay attention to the releases, okay? Although we are seeing like, one bull over here indicating that it's of the least, I would say, strength, okay, least impact. Of course, these are just the views of, in this case, investing.com or Forex Factory or whichever economic calendar that you guys use, okay? What's more important is, what the Fed, what the central banks think, okay? So because of this 1.8%, which actually falls short of the 2 to 3% target, that is one of the reasons why we see a weakening in the Canadian dollar, all right? And if you guys have been trading Canadian versus, I don't know, maybe any major currencies recently, okay, if you guys are seeing a weakening of Canadian dollar against those currencies, then another reason is probably because of the weakening of oil prices, all right? Let me just do a quick sharing of the oil WTI chart, all right? So right now we are looking at the daily chart, okay? Meaning every candle represents 1 day. Okay, as you can see, since I think this is on the 10th, it's last Wednesday. Yeah, last Wednesday. Crude oil prices has been declining since last Wednesday. Okay, I don't know, from like $83 per barrel to a low of like 76 before coming back up to like 80 level. Okay, so remember, oil prices are actually correlated, okay, to the Canadian dollar, positively correlated, meaning as one goes up, the other one tends to goes up as well, okay, vice versa, all right? So, with this downward pressure on oil prices, okay, it is pretty much expected, okay, that more or less there's going to be some downward pressure on the Canadian dollar as well. All right, but all these are pretty much just going to be short term. Okay, why is that the case? Remember, the Bank of Canada, they had just recently put an end, okay, to their quantitative easing. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing, let me just show you guys where is it? Wow, I have just too many tabs to open up in.
And he's serious when he has too many tabs, Scott.
Yeah,
whole
too many
screen
tabs,
is
too many
full of tabs.
windows. I have charts here, I have calendar there, I have notes here, I have like monetary policy statement here and there. But you know what? I'm not going to hold you guys back. Okay. So quick one. All right. The Bank of Canada, they actually revised their policy statement. All right. So previously they were actually expecting, a hike interest rate. Okay. Somewhere in the second half of 2022. All right, that was back in the July, I think it's July or August, the previous meeting. All right, the second previous meeting. But okay, in their recent meeting, all right, they actually revised that statement to middle quarters of 2022, meaning we can actually expect a hike in interest rates coming from the Bank of Canada as early as April 2022. Why? Because April 2022 is considered the middle quarters. Okay, so it's fair game, right? So the market is actually expecting an earlier rate hike from the Bank of Canada as of now. Okay, so yes, in the short run, we may be seeing some weakening in the CAD due to the common CPI data falling short of the 2 to 3% target. We are seeing a temporary downwards pressure in oil prices, but keep in mind that coming into winter, right? Chances are energy prices going to rise because the demand for energy, for oil, okay, will be rising, okay? And with the rise of all these products, all these commodities, okay, prices will increase as well. And hence, we may actually be seeing more upward pressure coming in on the Canadian dollar. So which is why in the short term, we'll be seeing some weakening in the Canadian dollar, but in the longer term, in the longer horizon, okay, CAD, there's still a strong potential in the Canadian dollar, okay, some more, with the expected hike in interest rate at an earlier time frame, right? So yeah, if you guys are going to be trading, feel free to look at the other cross pairs as well, but just be careful of who you pair Canadian dollar with, okay? Because if you're going to pair it with pound, then it's going to be a bit tricky because remember, pound CPI inflation has hit decade high as well, all right? So, it's a bit tricky. Just pair it with something that's weaker, don't do it with like New Zealand dollar as well, okay? Because, I think yesterday, one of our club members actually was sharing that, CPI inflation was high. So he was actually referring to the inflation expectation, okay, coming in from the surveyed businesses in New Zealand, okay? And they're actually expecting inflation to be high. On top of that, they are actually expecting the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, okay, to actually be, planning for more interest rates hike early next year. Okay, so that actually adds to the bullishness of the New Zealand dollar. So if you were to pair Canadian dollar with New Zealand dollar with pound, then it may be a bit of pitting the bull against the bull to see who turns out to be stronger. Okay, so yeah, with that, just be careful with all this fundamentals going on. Just join back the call, and we'll just keep you guys updated. All right, Jean, back to you.
So, yeah, thanks for that, Kim Hong. There is a question from Serene about a pairing CAD with the yen. So CAD yen, we will put it into the club platform. I do see some opportunities there, so we'll put it in a club platform in the chat there for you. But coming back to the US CAD, the specific possible trade idea here is that looking at the US CAD on the H4 time frame, it has done pretty much what we expected, shot up, turned down, shot back up again, being resisted at that 1.2618 level. At this point, with the expectation that we're going to see retail sales number being a little bit weaker than previous, or a lot weaker than previous, we were talking about a Canadian dollar weakening further up until the interest rate decision into next year. What I'm anticipating here for the short term is to look for that buying opportunity up towards that 1.2747 resistance level. However, there is a lot to wait for because it is still below this resistance now. What I'm looking for is for it to sit there, possibly test lower a bit before turning up. But this also gives you that opportunity to have a good early entry. So I'll just draw that out a little bit. I think it's going to drop back down before we see that come up and test. So what you could actually be looking for is buying opportunities above 1.26 34, a very tight stop loss of 20 to 30 pips, a very good take profit of about 100 pips. You're looking at a 1:3 risk reward ratio towards the upside, given that we see the retail sales number tonight at 9:30 GMT plus 8 come out at a minus 1.7 or minus 1.8, a core retail sales possibly at a minus 1% or minus 1.1 or 1.2%. And also, given that, as Scott was sharing, we see the dollar index having that retrace into from mid this week back down, looks like it might have hit that 95.50 level that I was sharing with you all. It looks like it's going to be bouncing off from this point back up towards that 96 level. It's already started. I'm not sure whether it will sustain, but that's something we'll be keeping watch on. If that pushes higher, we could see the USCAD test a bit before testing that resistance and breaking towards that 127.47 resistance level again. So short and sharp for the USCAD. With that, I'll pass it back to Scott for the cryptocurrencies.
All right, thanks for that, Jin. And just for everyone's note, I have shared the trade idea for the USDCAD in the CAD section there in the Awesomeness Traders Club. So with crypto now, I've been monitoring this a little bit, and it's been interesting because my friendship group has been, pursuing this. And one of my friends, I discussed with him maybe not buying, a few weeks ago, and he did. And so we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But if you're looking at this now, I honestly, I cashed out when it was pushing into the 65. So I'm someone actually, I don't have any positions on it currently. And Jin and I were talking about the fact that there are discounts available. And really what we're seeing here isn't really anything that comes up fast. And we've seen this, although it has stabilized a little bit, it's going to come down much quicker. If anyone's been in a stock and it's gradually, grinded higher and higher and higher, for example, in the Aussie markets, those iron ore stocks, they really capitulated pretty badly when iron ore was coming off, as a simple example. And what we're seeing here is now, and I've been, sharing the charts, and I shared the charts earlier this morning as well. So we're looking around 54 is going to be a point of interest, but honestly, it could be even lower. I've seen some material out there at around 50,000. So what that means is that for looking to get in, I want to see some consolidation and then a push higher. And I'm talking on the daily chart. Now, if you do trade actively, that's different story then, but I'm not really in a position to be offering my thoughts on that, because honestly, you will be up against prop firms and individuals paying for platforms that allow you to get in and out very quickly with hotkeys and trading ladders and things like that. I actually worked at a prop firm in 2018 trading cryptocurrency, and I'm not at liberty to talk about what the place was called. It was in Sydney, and you have to understand that to trade actively, you are up against, it's difficult. So please consider that when you are using margin and you're shorting, and you've got to be quite cautious with that. So I'm not here to actually really encourage you to play active intraday trading of Bitcoin, but honestly, conservative 50,000, but 54, we'll see. Maybe it bounces there, but I prefer it to come down a bit lower. So now to Ethereum here, and Jin and I were talking about this as well. So 4,000, a break of that on the daily, so it still needs a lot of time before it ends this daily candle, is going to be quite interesting. And on the hourly, you can get an intraday perspective, is that it's holding up. But when you see this, and when you see a test, another test, someone's going to become fatigued in regards to the market participants, and you're going to have to see, frankly, with this trending market as well, a break. Now, a conservative point is around 2,800. So you got to give it some more time. But again, if you play it short with CFDs, that's fine. But again, be cautious, because things can get quite wild in regards to the crypto market as well. But there is a crypto chat, and I do try my best to share any information or anything that's circulating in the market that would be a point of interest for the crypto traders out there. And I think there are a few guys that do trade crypto, but those are my insights there, guys. The charts have already been shared too. I'll make sure I share the disclaimer as well, just to make sure we're protecting ourselves, but enjoy, and I'll stop sharing there. And that is pretty much the episode, guys. I hope everyone had a great week. There's no questions. I think Gim's already addressed the question there. So enjoy, guys. And again, we'll be around in the LCMS Traders Club. So feel free to ask questions and enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us this week, guys. Bye for now.